Hey, this is the Big Hardcore Gamer back for another review. Now, this time I'm reviewing the PS5 version of Ereban Shadow Legacy, which I played on base PS5. Thanks to Keymailer and Selector Play for the early review code. This has no impact on the review or the verdict at the end because I like to make content that you can trust. There also won't be any story spoilers in this video. Please watch until the end, leave it a like and a hype. Right, let's get into it. So you play as Ayana, the last of the Ereban race, who's looking for answers about what happened to her people, while trying to stop Elios, a mega corporation linked to the downfall of the Ereban race, who want to exploit Ayana's shadow abilities. Ereban Shadow Legacy is a stealth-focused game. Now, this isn't a game where if you're caught, you're going to fight your way out of the situation. No, if you try to deal with the enemies head-on, you're not going to last long. Now, I'm a gamer that loves stealth. Whenever I'm playing one of the bigger games and there's an option to switch to stealth, I'm usually going to take that option because I like to be sneaky. I also like when devs try something different that I haven't seen before, because although I'm not knocking the hiding in the tall grass or knocking out lights and hiding in the shadows, if a game gives me a new form of stealth, it's going to pique my interest. Well, in Ereban, you don't just hide in the shadows, you merge with them. This was the feature I saw in the trailer that really got me interested and made me want to give the game a try, because it was something that I've never seen done before, and it works so well. There's a kind of a shadow stamina bar that depletes whenever you use the shadow merge ability. Unlike a regular stamina bar that will recharge when you stop moving, this will only recharge when you're in a dark area. And light will also drain your shadow ability fast. This forces you to be strategic with when you use shadow merge, because you don't want the ability to run out when you're in front of an enemy. So I would plan my route so that I would pop up, crouch behind cover and let the ability recharge before moving off again. Because, like I said, this isn't a game where if you're spotted, you can fight your way out of trouble and go back into hiding. No, if you get caught, you're cooked. The Sims are the main robot enemies that Ayana has to face throughout the game. They will shine a light on a position when she's detected to prevent her from shadow merging again, and they are surprisingly quick. Once they grab her, it's a one-hit kill. You do unlock a counter for this later on, but because of the slow recharge time, it's only useful against one sim. So if there's more than one coming for you, you're screwed. This forces you to be a bit more strategic with your movements, which I actually loved. And if you do decide to take one out with a backstab, you'll need to make sure that you're not seen by the other Sims when doing it. There are also some human enemies. Well, they're not actually enemies, as they won't fight you, but they will alert Sims if they see you. I'll talk about them a little bit more later on. As well as the shadow merge, Ayana also has some gadgets and shadow abilities that can be unlocked, like a proximity mine to stun the Sims, and a decoy for gadgets, and shadow blind, which stops a Sim in its tracks for a short period of time, allowing you to either move past them undetected or neutralize it with a quick stab. You unlock gadgets at workbenches with tech cards, which are hidden around the different levels, and you'll need to find scrap to craft more of each gadget when used. For shadow abilities, you'll need to find shadow orbs and use these to unlock new abilities from the skill tree. You'll need to find shadow dust to craft refills for your shadow abilities, and this forces you to only use Ayana's abilities and gadgets when absolutely needed, because trust me when I say that the resources are well hidden, they are definitely well hidden. I mean, I did think that the gadgets were pretty basic, but there were some decent shadow abilities to unlock later on, like taking control of Sims to move through an area undetected. As well as using the shadow merge to get around Sims, it's also used for traversal in some creative ways. For example, merging with the shadows off, on the wall from a large fan to cross a big gap while being careful not to slip out of the shadow into the light and fall to your death. Now, I played on hard difficulty and I was actually pleased to find that it was, pretty challenging. I haven't checked out the normal yet, but I did unlock hardcore difficulty when I beat the game, which I might try out later. Ereban Shadow Legacy as chapter select, for if you want to replay a chapter for a better score, find some collectibles that you missed, or just repeat it in a different way. Maybe you eliminated all sims on the first playthrough and want to try and get through the chapter undetected like a shadow ninja. I'm glad that it gives you the option to do this, and it's especially useful for trophy hunters. The game has a cel shaded art style that kind of reminded me of Borderlands. Performance is pretty good most of the time, but I did notice a drop in the frame rate whenever I got to a large open area. If you have a PS5 Pro, you might not get this issue, but I played on the base PS5 and it was definitely noticeable. So this leads me into the dislikes. Now, the first thing I tried to do before I started the first mission was change the graphics settings, which is something that I do for every PS5 game that I play. Most are set to quality mode by default, but I like to change it to performance mode to make sure that I get a decent frame rate. With Ereban Shadow Legacy, it doesn't have any graphics modes on the PS5 version to choose from. This wasn't an issue at first, when in the closed off areas, but like I mentioned, I got some frame rate drops whenever I went into a large open area, which was extremely annoying. This is something that probably can be fixed in a patch later on. And finally, there's the morality system. Now, I actually thought that this was pointless. I mentioned earlier that there are human workers for Ilios that you can kill. Well, when I killed the first one, there was a message that popped up about there being some kind of consequences for doing so. This got me intrigued, so, I started killing every human that I could whenever I had a chance to do so. Now, I'm going to be real with you. I didn't see any negative impact on the outcome of the story. There was one bit of dialogue and possibly a shortcut that was missed because of me, killing every human that I saw, but there really wasn't an issue. I mean, I also was still able to unlock all three endings to the game, and you can do this just by clicking continue whenever you finish the game and get back to the main menu. So, I didn't really see, any negatives effects for being a murderer. What I did see was the positive effects of killing humans. I mean, you collect their souls with every kill, which increases your shadow bar. So the best option in this game really is just to kill humans. Be a psycho. Right, so now it's time for the verdict. I don't use number scores for the reviews on this channel, but instead I use the following rating system. So I start off with did not finish, which is for a game I put in a lot of time but was so bad or so large that I just couldn't complete it. Then next is bad, then average, good, and must play. Ereban Shadow Legacy is a good game. It's challenging on hard difficulty and innovates with the shadow merge abilities. Forces you to play, to plan how you're going to deal with each area, and has some cool shadow abilities, even though the gadgets were pretty basic. I do think that they need to add some graphics modes to the game or just fix the frame rate in open areas. I would definitely recommend this game for any lover of stealth games who's looking to play something that's a bit different. Right, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found it useful, please leave it a like and a hype and share it out. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and check out some other content. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.